Hello. Alright, set up. Hello, my lovely toads, and welcome back to the Mario Kart stream series. It's been a bit, but today I'm finally continuing with it and doing Booster Course Pass Wave 3. I know that it's been a while, and I am kind of sorry about that. Truth be told, I've been kind of focusing on my schoolwork, but I still do care about the series, and I do tend to continue this no matter what. So, yeah, I'm only doing Wave 3 this video, as you can read by the title, because of the fact that I don't really have that much time on weekdays, but yeah. So let's start off with the first track, and unfortunately we're not starting off on a very high note, because we're starting off with Tour London Loop. This is actually one of my brother's least favorite tracks in the game, which I believe it's actually my brother's least favorite city track, and to an extent I do understand why. You'll see. I mean, all tour tracks in this game look pretty blocky and generic, or kind of poor looking, but this track I feel is one of the biggest examples of this, because of the fact that it just doesn't really look like much of anything. To be fair, that's just true with London, where, I mean, sorry if this sounds rude, but I kind of felt the same way when actually going to London, that despite how popular it is of a tourist spot it is, there's not really much special about it. But like, I've been talking so much about the aesthetic, because there's literally been nothing going on in terms of the track we're talking about. I'm driving by the chain chomps and the grass is kind of cool, I guess. And you go up and around, and yay. Oh, there's that building, you know, that iconic building from London. We absolutely needed that shot. Is like anything going to happen? We've been at this track for a pretty long time now, and I don't think literally anything noteworthy has happened so far. Why the heck did you do that? Did you not see the arrows for that long? Oh no, you drive on this bridge at one point. So cool, right? Oh, and then you... Oh, we're going on this circle thing again? Oh, but that bridge! You saw how that bridge was up? But apparently it's not always up, so, like, what's even the point? Oh, and then you drive on the dock again, and next to one of the amusement park rides. Yeah, I don't know what you want me to say about that track. It is one of the most nothing tracks in the game. People in general seem pretty burned out on the Tour City tracks, and I feel like this is one of the shining examples of just how nothing these can be. I'm not a fan, honestly. This one is just the definition of middle of the road. I think it's going above Tokyo Blur, since at the very least I can't really imagine much more they could have done versus Tokyo, where I felt like they did a really bad job making that city actually look interesting. At least London had the third lap, which was kinda neat, compared to Tokyo, which didn't have like much of anything, but still, neither of these are really worth choosing. They are by far the worst city tracks in the game. Does the soundtrack at least pick up? Does the song of the track? I guess soundtrack would work. Does the song work at least? Okay, we're like nearly a third of the way through and you haven't done anything at all yet. Are you going to do something interesting? Well, it did something interesting. It just took it way longer than I would have wanted. It's not the worst song in the game. It's actually fairly solid, but it really is carried by one particular section. I think right here is a good spot for it. It's just still not really anything I think I'd listen to on its own. But I do actually quite like that section right before the loop. Right before the London loop. See what I did there? Yeah? Okay, let's continue. I'll be here all night. Yeah, so yeah. What's next? So yeah, one of the most spruced up remakes in the game. Boo Lake. First of all, this track actually looks really nice. I think that the lake really helps add a lot to make this track feel more, well, lakey. I mean, it's called Boo Lake, but the original didn't even have a lake in it. So yeah. Some good turns at the beginning that they introduced. So right off the bat, following up, it's really funny going from Tokyo, or from, not Tokyo Bore, god, these tour tracks have become a Tokyo Bore in my brain. No, it's kind of funny going from London Loop to this, where London Loop did not have anything interesting throughout, like, almost the entire beginning, where here we've had a few jumps, a split in the road, and now a turn into a lake. And then there's that really cool mushroom shortcut to the left. Honestly, yeah, and then this uphill section is really cool. There's just something really satisfying. He doesn't show it here, but if you would drive in that, you can actually drive on that middle section there, and it's just really satisfying. Yeah. I mean, it's fairly short, but it's really enjoyable for the little length it has. I think that it's just an overall really enjoyable track. I think maybe here is a good spot for it. Honestly, I may need to resort this a bit. Because I think over 3DS DK Jungle, over Shroom Ridge, but under Toad Harbor probably is a good spot for it. Right smack dab in the middle. What about the music, though? Does that do anything for me? I don't know why there's bees here. The song was originally fairly dull in the GBA version, but the extra percussion and echoiness that they added to it really helps sell this haunted vibe that they were going for. I did not like how that sounded, though. Yeah, pretty good remix overall. But unfortunately, this one's kind of at a disadvantage because the initial song just wasn't really all that impressive. So they did everything they could to spruce it up, but I still feel about as indifferent on this one as I did on the GBA. In fact, maybe here would be a good spot for it. Yeah. Gotta say, the music has not really been wowing me that much so far. This is like the opposite of the previous video, where it's actually the music that's not very interesting and the tracks that are actually, well, I guess apart from one loops, which is half of the tracks we've looked at so far, so maybe it's too early to judge that. Okay, what's next? Good old Alpine Pass, or as Americans call it, Rock Mountain. Because, you know, we all like rocks. First of all, I know that it's just beating a dead horse talking about the visuals at this point, but I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. This doesn't even look like it's in the same game as the first few tracks. Remember when Mario Kart Stadium looked breathtaking? This looks laughable, honestly. But I do understand that Waves 2 and 3 were kind of a rocky period for the visuals before they really started to step up their game in the future waves. But I mean, just look at this and tell me that it doesn't... Anyway, yeah. There was that cave section, which was a nice aesthetical change, but... yeah. Don't spank your butt at me. I do like that glider section through the pipes. It is a nice set piece. Then there's this wood section. Yeah. So that's Alpine Pass, and he's going to take that shortcut real quick. So yeah, Rock Mountain, Alpine Pass, whatever you want to call it, it's mid. Yeah, I never really cared much for this track one way or another. I feel like C tier is a good spot for it. Probably top of C tier, but C tier nonetheless. In fact, maybe at the bottom of B would be a better spot for it. Like, here. Here seems like a good spot for it. I just never really cared much for it. What about the music? Is my head messing with me, or does the song sound kind of empty compared to the 3DS version? I don't know. The electric guitar and drums sound way louder than any of the background instruments to me. Maybe that's just my ears playing tricks on me, though. Yeah. I think it's pretty solid. A tier seems like a good spot for it, even if this tier is so bloated it's about to explode. There. Under Ice Outpost, because no matter what you think of Ice Outpost as a track, it at least has a really good song. Maple Treeway time. Fan favorite from Wii, and for good reason. Let's see how this remake fares. Because people have complained that the rope bridge from the Wii version has never been returned, or wasn't returned in 7. So I guess to some people that's the determining factor for whether this track is good or not. That was an exaggeration, but anyway, and then after you take that turn, to be fair, 200cc is pretty difficult. Dude, why would you use a mushroom right when you're about to go through a really sharp turn? No one said you needed to use a double item box. Anyway, I like that they included the Wii half pipe again, which is actually the first time in the DLC they did that. Yeah, they replaced the rope bridge with the hang glider section, the horror. And that's what Maple Treeway, I mean, you know what tier this track has to go in, right? No matter what incarnation you play, it is one of the best tracks in the series. And because I haven't made any tweaks to lessen my opinions on it, I feel like the best track in the game so far is a good spot for it. Yeah, that seems fine. It's actually the first S tier track that we've had in a while. Anyway, what about the music? I mean, it is Maple Treeway, so it's gotta sound amazing, right? Okay, first of all, my ears are definitely playing tricks on me. That's why I ranked Rock Mountain as high as I did, because I couldn't tell. But yeah. I don't know, I'm not really a huge fan of the change they made there. That new instrument that they chose just doesn't really hit the same to me. What a lovely song. The Ruined Beginning is not enough to leave it out of S tier. Oh man, this game has a good soundtrack. We already have the top 10 are all in S tier, confirmed, and we haven't even heard all of the songs in the game yet. So, yeah. Now let's move on to the Moon Cup. Let's begin with Berlin Byway. Berlin Byways with an S. Oh my god, is there like actually traffic in this track? You're telling me that a city track actually has cars in it for once? Yeah, it's really weird to me that this is like the only city track in the game to actually have cars, but you know, it's cool. Probably should be commenting on the track. I like that part where you drive next to the subway train, though you're an idiot if you enter it. Yeah, you drive through these columns, that's pretty neat, I guess. I do like the fact that there's actually cars in this track. It kind of makes it stand out a bit from your typical city affair. And I don't know, there's actually some kind of interesting set pieces. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not much to say considering we're just, you know, driving through. We're just driving through a city. It's not really much of a spectacle. Oh, that's cool though. You enter the third lap in a different direction than the first two. Totally the first time this has happened. Yeah, that Womp section's a nice set piece. Then there's this split path, which is kind of cool. Though once again, the right path is by far the better path to take. Then you got Blooper Ink. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love how it won't disappear? Yeah. The third lap really didn't do anything special apart from the Womps. I'm not sure what to think in this one, honestly. It's not terrible, but it's not terribly interesting. It doesn't annoy me with its boringness like Tokyo or London, though. So because of that, I feel like it's going around where Sydney Sprint is. I think a little bit above. Or maybe, you know what, I'm going to put it below just for now, since just looking at these preview images, at least Sydney Sprint looks kind of colorful compared to Berlin, which just looks kind of drab. Gotta say though, the Tour City tracks have not been scoring very well. Of the ones we've had, 4 of them are in C tier. And then the only ones that are above it are in B tier. So, as nice as it is that the Tour tracks are returned, it is kind of sad that we haven't really had any of the standout great ones so far. What about the music though? Yeah! Come on, build up, build up. I don't even know what to say about that one. Yeah, that's going over Sydney Sprint. I love it. It is just that build up to such a great climax. I really can't think of a single thing I would improve about this one. Sydney Sprint repeats the chorus twice, which is something I'm not really a huge fan of when it comes to music, but Berlin Byways, I just don't think there's a single thing that I would have changed about its song. Now, without further ado, let's go on to the next track. Peach Gardens. Oh yeah, duh, it's a hedge. Why would it have a face texture? So yeah, it's just a really pleasant garden. One thing that a lot of these tracks do, I mean, it's kind of nice taking a break from these cities tracks and realizing that a lot of these tracks just continuously change up the layout. Like, there are all those turns, and then there's that section with all the different parts of the garden. Then you can go around a piranha plant. Yeah. Hold on a second. saying you're trying to be quiet? Okay, just wanted to be sure. Alright, just had to clarify something. I can still stream though, don't worry. It's not an emergency. And then, of course, the first... So yeah, I might as well skip this because it's just the same as the first lap. Okay, yeah, we're getting towards the end of this lap. But, as you can see, the tour arrows appear, and now suddenly, you're driving backwards. I do think that this section that they added to the track could have been a little bit more decorated, though. I gotta know, it's pretty obvious that this wasn't originally a part of the track. Yeah, then you go backwards and see all of the shrubs. And there's this cool section where you can go through all of that. It's a bummer the guy missed Luigi's high five though. Also, I love how you could technically drive around at the other... Oh wait, you can't? Oh yeah, they fenced it off in this version. The original version they didn't, and you could technically just take a route that's way longer for literally no reason. I mean, that is just a really... I think that the going backwards on the final lap actually really helps add some much needed spice to an already pretty dang good track. Yeah, this is definitely on the same leagues as... I think around the same position of Boo Lake is the perfect spot for this track. And what about the music? This is a really pleasant melody. Reminds me a lot of Paris Promenade, but it's going over it because it's just generally more enjoyable. I feel like I'm gonna have to do some shuffling at some point. There's a lot of clumps that just are really confusing me. But, yeah. I'm trying to figure out where exact... Okay, yeah, okay, right here seems like a good spot for it. Really pleasant and enjoyable, and it's right over Paris Promenade. Well, over as in direction, not in terms of placement. Anyway, so that was Peach Gardens. A really pleasant track. Not one that I think I'm going to jump at every... It's not one that I think I'm going to jump at, but I do quite like it. It's really enjoyable. Next up is Merry Mountain. The train is kind of cool. Let's get started, shall we? Oh my god, though, that road actually genuinely looks amazing. I mean, just look at that. Why did they go all in on the road? All out, all in. I don't know. Same difference. Just take the absolute value. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really commented because, like, there was, what, one split path section? Just look at that mini-map. That is one of the most boring-looking mini-maps in the entire game. And unfortunately, the actual track was just... eh. There's, like, nothing going on. Which, for a Christmas-themed track, you seriously cannot tell me that they couldn't have pushed it a little bit further. So, yeah, because of that, I'm actually going to put it, like... I'm gonna say... here. It's not the worst track in the world, but it actually does kind of annoy me that they didn't take the concept of a track that takes place during Christmas and make it something super grand and epic. Instead, it just feels so lackluster. In fact, this wave in general has actually been pretty poor. We'll see which wave is the worst at the end, though, because I do actually have a bonus actual video on my channel planned for when this is all said and done. Well, or maybe I'll just make it one of the streams. Anyway, how does the music sound? It sounds grand, but it doesn't sound very memorable or Mario Kart, if that makes any sense. I like it, but I feel like I'm going to forget it in like a few seconds. Alright, this section is way weaker than that beginning section. I almost feel kind of bad for criticizing it. Alright, wanting me back. I kind of wish they would have incorporated a few more Christmas motifs. In fact, I think bottom of B is a good spot for it. Because I'm kind of conflicted between B- and C+, but I feel like bottom of B is just where the song belongs. So one last track, and one of the fan favorites. This one I actually have a lot to say about. A lot of people have actually been coming out and saying that this track isn't nearly as good as everyone said it was. 3DS Rainbow Road. I actually remember when this track first released, I thought that this version was kind of weak. Let's see what I think of it now that we're revisiting it. Because I do think that I was initially way too harsh on this track. Though, I do have one major issue immediately. The lighting is not very good. The road looks nice and vibrant, but all of the planets look so drab. I find that to just be a really weird stylistic choice, because the entire fun of this track is exploring through the cosmos, but the cosmos don't really look all that... I mean, I guess that planet looks really nice. That planet. My lack of space knowledge is really going to get on a lot of people's nerves. I'm pretty sure it's Jupiter, though. Yeah. Which would mean that, yes, indeed, in the second section, which we're surprisingly already at, this is where the track really starts to pick up. You go on the Rings of Saturn. I like the additions of these little holes to make driving a little bit more risky. And then, you know, all these dash panels to make it even more interesting. This is where there's a bit of a stretch where you don't go on any planets. But there's enough bends and stuff in the road to make it interesting before the moon section. Though, I know I'm not the only one to have said this, but this is where I feel like the drab color palette of this track's planets really hurt it. Like, seriously tell me that the section where you're literally going on the moon couldn't have looked a bit more vibrant than this. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Then we get to the end, which I do actually quite like. Even if this tunnel actually looks kind of underwhelming in HD, but anyway. Then you go off of these things. Really cool. Though that meteor to the right there, that is some ugly looking texturing. That's actually a theory that I had, that maybe this track looks so dim because the texture work is secretly really bad. Which I do understand, because the road itself is probably the best looking road that we've ever had for a Rainbow Road. But, yeah. I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I do still think it belongs in S tier. Probably even the top of S tier. Yeah, what the heck. This has been a really bipolar wave, though. But, yeah. While it is a really good track, and probably one of the best Rainbow Roads we've ever had. But at the same time, I feel like there are a few minor tweaks that I would have made to this version to really make it the definitive version. Though at the same time, I feel like that's also partially why I like it, because it doesn't necessarily replace the 3DS version. It's kind of like its own take on it. I may have complained, but that's mainly just the 3DS elitist in me is speaking. I can't say talking or speaking, apparently. Oh yeah, that extra percussion is awesome. I neglected to mention it on the actual track itself. This reminds me a lot of Sonic Colors, and the music especially. I don't think it's quite worthy of S tier because, I don't know, the melody doesn't really feel S tier worthy for me, but it is still a really good melody. And then you get to the N64 reference, and it's just Chef's Kiss. Oh, we're not quite there yet. Here we go. And then that good old Mario Kart 7 leitmotif to really tie it all together and make it feel like a grand finale. There's also the Moon version, but I feel like the Moon version in this is kind of what drags it down for me. I don't think it's quite as good as it was in the 3DS version, but it's still really good. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I actually like 3DS Piranha Plant Slides theme more than 3DS Rainbow Roads. And both these remixes are fairly similar in quality, so yeah, that seems like a better position for it. But still, really good. Really, really good. Just don't think that because it's an A tier that immediately means it's bad. It's just that there are so many really good songs in this game that it's kind of hard for me to pick. So, that's that. So, I guess that's the end of the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed and have the best day.